Good evening. Welcome to the Village Board meeting for the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, June 11. If you're watching live on Monday, June 11, we encourage you to call in if you have any comments or questions. The call-in number is 769-1677. As always, you can see us live on the government channel on PCTV via Verizon Fios or Cablevision Optimum, and you can also catch us live or thereafter in on-demand webcasts at pctv76.org. Our next scheduled meeting is Monday, June 25 at 8 p.m. with a work session at 7. We have an unusually full house tonight, which is always a happy occasion. So we are certainly not lonely tonight. A number of things going on, a number of groups to be recognized. But the first item on our agenda tonight is the happy occasion to elevate Kevin Gilmartin to the rank of sergeant in our police force. So I invite Chief Richard Love to come and introduce that.
Mayor Scher, Village Administrator, Dwyer, Village Trustees, community members, family and friends of the Pleasantville Police Department. Good evening. It is an honor for me to be able to speak at tonight's ceremony. I would like to take a few minutes to speak about our department. In many respects, the Pleasantville Police Department is the face of the village. The way we carry ourselves and carry out our responsibilities reflects on the village government and on the entire community. That is why I believe the following is so important for everyone to realize. Once one becomes a law enforcement officer, that title stays with you forever. In fact, when people introduce you to others, they're going to include the fact that you are a law enforcement officer. In reality, enforcing laws is only a minute part of what we do. If all we did was to enforce laws, most of our time would be considered of no use. Actually, most of our time is spent community policing. We are the first to arrive on the scene of medical emergencies. We perform CPR and/or help someone who is bleeding or has broken bones. We are the first on scenes of fires or lost children. These aren't enforcing laws, but they are law enforcement. We notify the next of kin when a tragedy occurs. We help the elderly to get to their feet or into their bed when they have fallen. We do get cats from trees. None of this is enforcing laws, but it is community law enforcement. We respond to people's homes and at times know they just wanted to talk to someone, and we spend that time with them. We see our youth walking down the streets, and we take time to ask them how they are doing, what's new with them. And when we have time to enforce the law, we are fair and firm, remembering that we are part of the same community. We call ourselves law enforcement officers, but remember that enforcing the law is only a part of what we do. Being a good family, friend, neighbor in the community we serve constitutes the majority of our job. Now, the main reason why we're here tonight, Officer Kevin Gilmartin's promotion to sergeant within the Pleasantville Police Department. Officer Gilmartin joined our department on November 10th, 2003. He has been a hardworking and compassionate officer with an outstanding commitment to service. I believe now Sergeant Gilmartin's dedication and skill and the knowledge he possesses will be a refreshing addition to the administration of this department. Sergeant Gilmartin understands the vision and course this administration is headed and brings with him innovative ideas to help propel this department into the future. I ask everyone to join me in congratulating Sergeant Gilmartin on this momentous occasion.
I'm happy to welcome for the last time Officer Gilmartin. And when he returns to his seat, he will be Sergeant Gilmartin. I echo everything Chief Love has said about the progress we've seen in the police department, and I am happy once again to stand in this place and read the oath to you and have you repeat it back and to see one of our own advancing through the ranks to become a leader in this department. So if you will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kevin Gilmartin,
I, Kevin Gilmore,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duty of police sergeant in the Village of Pleasantville
the duty of police sergeant in the Village of Pleasantville
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Welcome, Sergeant.
How about with the mayor and the chief as well? You like them in? Mayor and chief?
I haven't.
Chief, your hat?
I did.
More hands with that.
Who was it?
Congratulations. Want to
Your
sign
wife
now?
did about as good a painting as I've seen somebody do. Congratulations. Chief?
Chief Kevin. Nice job. Good job.
Well, our new sergeant is signing the oath of office book. We will take resolution number 113 out of order and go ahead with that. Colleen.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees, based upon the recommendation of the police chief, hereby approves the appointment of Kevin Gilmartin to the position of police sergeant effective as of 12:01 a.m. Monday, June 11, 2012, at a salary of $105,272. As per the rules and regulations of Westchester County Department of Human Resources, said appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 12 weeks to a maximum of 52 weeks.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. I want to encourage you and your kids to stay through all of our long meeting, but we won't be offended if you don't.
Take a break.
No. Second item on our agenda tonight is to welcome a group of students from Pleasantville High School who are representatives of the Pleasantville International Association. And with that in mind, let me go back to the podium.
A little aerobic workout here.
I can use it.
No comment.
As many of you know, Pleasantville International Association has existed for, 40 years? Something like 40 years, as a community organization centered around the activities of Pleasantville High School students who, for all of these many years, have chosen places to go around the world, usually on summer trips, occasionally on semester or year-long trips. And those young people leave Pleasantville, New York, and scatter themselves across the globe. And as part of the preparation for that, the organization, led by the students and the families involved, raise money and have various activities to help support the trip. And when those students come back, they repay that gift from the community and from the organization in spades by talking in various different settings about the service, about the experience they had in the various different countries. I can speak as the parent of a PIA alum in saying several things about the program, not the least of which is the fact that this program has existed for so long and has become a fixture, an institution in the life of Pleasantville High School, has taken students like my own daughter and gotten them to think about the possibility of going overseas in an adventure that I think many of those kids would not otherwise have thought of. I put myself in that category, having gone to a very big regional high school with 2,400 kids and absolutely nothing like PIA. And although it was a different time, I can assure you it didn't cross my mind to go to Costa Rica or Tanzania or Botswana or any of the places that PIA students have gone to. But it is our pleasure tonight to welcome I think 6 of this year's 9 ambassadors. 3 aren't able to come tonight because of a conflict, and to do several things. One of which is this is our annual occasion to fire up the Pleasantville, New York Department of State and to anoint you as our official ambassadors for the good work you do in taking the story of Pleasantville, New York around the globe. But secondly, and more importantly, to honor you guys for the courage and the spirit and the willingness to put yourselves in a very different environment that is not only admirable, but which has become part of this 40-year-long role modeling process that has taken and will take the kids who are in the years younger than you and propel them into a very similar adventure. So I am going to invite each of you up, and we will hand you a certificate. We'll start with Deanna Long. Come on up, and I'll read yours. I won't bother to read everyone else's, other than where you're going. This certificate says the Village of Pleasantville, the Board of Trustees honors Deanna Long as Pleasantville's 2012 Ambassador to Ecuador. Traveling on behalf of the Pleasantville International Association, issued this 11th day of June to honor the spirit, the energy, and the courage shown by PIA ambassadors from Pleasantville High School. So we're going to hand you that, and you can tack that up on the wall and impress people. But in addition to that, each of you need to take overseas your opportunity to wear your Pleasantville baseball cap, to carry a change of clothes, a water bottle, or whatever in your Pleasantville rucksack, and a set of postcards that will allow you to go to your foreign lands and tell people that this is not actually what your town looks like, but it's what your town looked like 100 years ago. So we are honored and look forward to hearing how Ecuador was. Yeah, you want to do those? Great. Thank you, Colleen. Brittany Lopez. Brittany Lopez, you are anointed as Pleasantville's 2012 ambassador to Germany. That's tough sledding because we have lots of issues with Germany, and when you come back, hopefully you will have solved them. So have a good time in Germany. We could do one of, Stu Leonard's has that thing where you have a picture of yourself with a Stu Leonard's bag on the Great Wall of China or something. So how about this? The baseball caps, see what you can do. Charlie Finn. Charlie, you are the 2012 ambassador to South Africa. Congratulations. Thank you. Kelly Bonani. Venturing as our ambassador to Peru. Thank you. Teresa Sullivan, part of a long tradition of Sullivans making these trips, fair to say. 2012 ambassador to Australia.
Tough trip.
I do recall the year my daughter went to Costa Rica, one of her classmates went to Australia, and as everyone is reporting what they did, and my daughter's reporting the last day of her trip, they're on some black sand beach sleeping in the sun to recover from their trip. The kid who went to Australia says, well, I didn't see any beaches, we just worked, so so watch out. And last of the 6 of the ambassadors who are tonight, James Lydon. Welcome, sir. 2012 ambassador to New Zealand. Are you traveling part way with? Yeah. not able to be here tonight, but rounding out the roster of our 2012 PIA team, Adam Bucheister, who is going to Tanzania, Elizabeth Hammond, who is going to Argentina, and Lucy Becker, who is going to Belize. So an extraordinary long history of a great, great Pleasantville institution, an institution that, like so many Pleasantville institutions, keeps getting handed to the next generation, and the next generation keeps handing it to the one that follows in equally good or better condition. So thanks to the parents who have helped so much and continue to do so. We're honored to honor you, and we'll look forward to hearing all that you have to say when you come back. So, promise to come back? Thank you all. So it's a big night for introductions tonight. Just wanted to take a brief moment to introduce you to Jeff Econom, who is our new Superintendent of Public Works. As many of you know, Steve Johnson, our longstanding DPW Superintendent, retired a couple of months ago, and middle of the month of May, Jeff Econom took up his position at our DPW offices as our new superintendent. We are delighted to have him. He comes with a very, very, very deep resume, lots of experience, and with multiple certifications, including a license as a professional engineer. So, Jeff, if you'd like to step up and just say hello to the community, people can lay eyes on him, and this probably will not make your job easier, that you'll be more recognizable. But I just want to say on behalf of the village board, how pleased we are to have you here and to welcome you to Pleasantville.
I want to thank you for the opportunity. First 5 weeks have flown by. Having a great time. We're accomplishing a lot. I do have a great group of guys down there, and we're getting a lot accomplished. And the door's always open. Feel free, if anyone has any questions, to stop down, to talk to me, and give me any ideas, give me any suggestions, any issues you may have. Feel free. So.
All right. So before you leave, you could actually just stand there, because I'll probably get this wrong. I wanted to announce that the annual flushing of water hydrants is going to start on Monday, June 25 and end Friday, June 29, between the hours of midnight and 2 p.m.
Correct.
Have I got that right?
Yes, you do.
Why don't you just shed some light on why we do this, so people don't get confused about why our guys are outside their house at 2 in the morning.
The reason we're doing the flushing at night is during the day, when we've drained the water mains or flushed the water mains, we stir up some sediment in the pipes. So this gives the opportunity for the water and the settlement to settle out. Otherwise, you'd be getting brown and dirty water. You'd be calling myself, you'd be calling Patty with, you've ruined my clothes, especially when you're doing your laundry. So this happens at night when the least amount of usage on the water system.
Thank you for that. And again, Jeff, welcome to the Village of Pleasantville. We're delighted to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks. I think the superintendent of DPW is the only office where you can use flushing in his introduction and feel comfortable with that.
We're going to have a duck race that night.
Thank you,
You
Jeff.
should have. That would have been a really good thing to do.
Coming nighttime
A
duck race.
midnight duck race. That's
All
a
right.
really good idea.
Oh, no.
They could all be skinny dipping.
Oh, no.
All right, so we have a few other announcements to make, but since Mindy has
Since I
already
mentioned
brought
the
up
duck.
ducks, and I see a duck is parked here.
Yes, this is, this weekend was the swim team's first annual duck derby. And at Pleasantville Day or during the clinic or any of the practices for the swim team, you could buy a family of 5 ducks, or you could buy your own duck. And you could decorate them, and we had the duck derby at Nannyhagen Stream on Saturday. And I have with me right here, this is the winning duck, and he's called Goth Duck. And Mark Indriola, 11-year-old Pleasantville swim team swimmer, won the duck derby.
Did he swim on a skateboard?
This is the whole, there was a lot of controversy about
Yes.
this because you know, a lot of people thought it would sink, but it took off. I think there was a motor on here. I'm looking back here. I don't know, Mark. I think you probably put it. But look how cute that is. It's got a little mohawk and chain around its neck. And
It's a Lacoli that works on a duck.
Yeah. But it was a huge success. They raised a lot of money, and I actually got to have an email from the Pleasantville Swim Team Board, which is headed by Petra Zorgman. Then there's Jill Jameson, Steve Lord, Maria Rule, Holly Bowes, Ben Roy, and Amy Riley. And this is to the Pleasantville Village Board of Trustees. On behalf of the Pleasantville Swim Team, we would like to thank the board, Patty Dwyer and Linda Bellafato, for their ongoing support of our team, especially during the past few weeks with the launching of our first annual Duck Derby. The Duck Derby was a big success, and we sold out of our supply of 400 ducks. Perhaps more importantly, we achieved our goal of duck loads of fun, bringing together not only our swimmers, but also numerous members of the Pleasantville community. We would also like to give a special thanks to the following people for their assistance, without whom our event could not have run smoothly as it did. Manny Colomaris and the guys at the firehouse, Jeffy Conham and the DPW crew, Chief Love and Police Officer Erin Holly, Dan Malone and the pool staff. Our greatest thanks, the Pleasantville Swim Team Board. I don't know if we left anybody out there. But it was truly a great event that will be anniversaried, and we outlasted the snake that lives in Nannyhagen Brook there, which is, I've heard estimates of, oh, it's huge, it's 3 feet long. Are you kidding me? It's barely a foot long. But it was relocated for a couple of hours. I don't know if you got to see it being relocated. You were there, weren't you? No? Come on, Sarah, you didn't come at the Duck Derby. It was a great event. I was giving you some credit. But it was wonderful, and we're anniversarying it for next year. And there was, as I said, 390 ducks swimming in the brook, and this one took off, and I swear it was like ahead by a mile. I think Jonathan got some pictures, didn't you?
I did.
It wasn't a photo finish, though.
It was not.
Okay. So, thank you very much, everybody that helped out with that.
It lived up to its bill.
So now
That
then,
was really good.
congratulations to all those people. Now that we've accomplished that, we'll be shutting down government for another 11 months until we have something to do to think about the next duck race. So a great and clever idea, I guess, one that was co-opted from various other places, but a whole lot of fun for everybody. I wanted to mention, since we last met, a couple of major events in the village of Pleasantville. We had a Memorial Day program, as we always do, on Monday of Memorial Day weekend, that included a service at the World War I monument in front of Bedford Road School, a parade down Bedford Road, and then a ceremony that took place in front of the World War II, Korea, and Vietnam monuments down at Memorial Plaza. And a great day with participation by segments of the community all over the place. Dad's Club, ASO, Fire Department, Brownies and Daisies, Pleasantville High School Band, Fire Department Band, and happy to welcome to this year's program Pleasantville High School Camerata, the girls a cappella group from Pleasantville High School. On a weekend they could have been elsewhere. The band and the Camerata singers joined us for Memorial Day. So it was a great event, and thanks in particular to the Fantr-Nickel American Legion Post, which plays such a big role in planning that service, led by Commander Bert Ruiz, and also special thanks to Roger Lemke, who volunteers in a zillion ways and was for many years an employee here for the village, who also led a lot of the activities. 2 parades in 1 week. That was on Monday. On Friday, the annual Pleasantville Fire Department Parade, which was its usual great event. Thanks to Bob Murphy, who organizes that to a T. There's something like 30 different fire departments and lots of bands, and a great scene down on Washington Avenue at the fire department, dampened briefly by a downpour, but only briefly. So a great event, and an occasion not only to have a good time at a parade, but to remember the fact that the men and women of the fire department do an extraordinary job for us, and they are not only always looking for interested people to help out in all kinds of capacities, not only serving as an active firefighter, but lots of other duties available if firefighting isn't your cup of tea. So thanks to the fire department, and we encourage absolutely everybody to take a look at their website, and if you have even the remotest inclination to think about volunteering, show up down at the firehouse and see what they might have to do that you might be interested in. So
They have a tremendous youth corps too, and that's something also for the younger ones out there, but it's definitely a big need for our fire department.
And I might also say that on nights like the fire department parade, it's not all work, it's quite a bit of fun. So.
I think they had a lot of fun there.
The Pleasantville Recycling Committee periodically sends a tip of the month or a comment of the month, and it's an occasion to remind you that we have a great and active recycling committee. All kinds of data available at pleasantvillerecycles.org. There is going to be an article coming up in a forthcoming, I think the next issue of the Examiner about recycling, but a piece of data that they passed on to me that I'll pass on to you is that last year Westchester County recycled 52% of its total solid waste stream, that as compared to the New York State average of 36% and the EPA's national goal of 35%. So Westchester County is already at 52% when the national goal is only at 35%. So that is an indication of what a good job our community and many others are doing, but also an inducement to get us to do better so that we can stay ahead of the rest of the country, as we try to do in so many other ways, not just taxes. Worth noting that recycling saves us quite a bit of money because lots of the recycling produces materials that can either be resold or in some cases are picked up by a third-party user at no cost. So I encourage you to go to pleasantvillerecycles.org and take a look at all the information they have there, including the recycling A to Z, and also to keep an eye out for that article that's forthcoming in the Examiner. Jeff mentioned earlier the hydrant flushing. Again, just to be reminded, that's going to be Monday, June 25 through Friday, June 29, and it will include on some streets people coming and opening fire hydrants in the middle of the night. So be aware of that. Anybody else have anything else to add to the mix?
Mayor, I just would like to mention, we also will be conducting a streetlight audit in the middle of the night, so people will, or perhaps they may see some vehicles moving slowly through the village. Those people will be registered with the police department, so don't feel funny about calling in, if you do see something that you're not comfortable with.
Are those
and we'll be able to verify that they're working for
private
us.
cars or village vehicles?
They are private. It's a third-party consultant.
So, okay.
Okay.
Will they be identified in any way?
I don't think so, but we'll all know. I'll
And
make
when's
sure
that
I get
happening?
enough. I'll get enough information out. I think they're starting next week, and it'll just be one night, maybe two. But
Okay.
they will be driving very slowly, and they're going to look very
Will they be
suspicious.
wearing dark glasses?
Yeah, I hope not. They're doing a streetlight audit. I hope
Okay.
not.
Tends to skew the results.
Last thing I wanted to mention, a couple of people have asked me how the progress is going with the proposed purchase of the MLA property from Stop and Shop by the Henkel Company, and I can report that continues to move its way through. There's a public hearing coming up at the Planning Commission, which is an indication that they're getting near the end of the Planning Commission process. So all systems go, and we look forward to all the loose ends being tied up so that transaction can close. And when that happens, we will be happy to welcome the Henkel Company as an anchor corporate member of the Pleasantville commercial community. Any comments from the public? Anybody want to call in? 769-1677. Failing that, we'll go to our resolutions. Number 114, Mindy.
Which I'm, Hey, Michelle, how are you? Good. Hold on. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Trustees. Michelle Lucia, 3 Bedford Road. I'm calling with a couple of issues I want to highlight this evening.
Okay.
I have a little notepad here of things I'd like to ask you. The first thing that I wanted to mention in reference to having our new DPW superintendent is the growth of trees on Marble Avenue on the Holy Innocents Cemetery side, the trees that are there on the median between the gate of the cemetery and the curb of the road.
Yeah.
Those trees tend to overgrow and be very full and dense, and they block your visibility when you're at the stop sign trying to make a left, which is already a dangerous intersection and traffic situation. So I was wondering if that was something that our DPW could keep an eye on to keep those trees trimmed back. If it's not our responsibility, then to mention it to the caretakers of the cemetery property.
All right, I think it is our responsibility. We planted those trees on the right-of-way, and I'll ask Jeff and his guys to take a look. It may be, I think the expectation there as those trees grow is that we should be limbing them up a bit over time, and it sounds like now may be the time for a phase of that.
Yes, especially with Henkel's, who we welcome coming in, and there being more volume on that road. So it's just going to become more important that those trees are pruned so that the visibility is 100% for motorists and pedestrians.
I agree. So just worth noting, not to interrupt, but Henkel obviously will create activity since the building has been otherwise empty, but not a whole heck of a lot of activity. They anticipate that they will have about 75 employees total. So.
Okay, well, those are 75 more cars.
No doubt, absolutely, I agree.
Rights in that area. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the, ignorance of residents and our noise ordinance, and what is allowed on weekends and legal holidays, and what is not permissible. And I think that this is a quality of life issue without touching on leaf blowers. Let's enforce what we have on the books. And I find that on the weekends or holidays, there are activities going on in the village that are prohibited, and people are really either, just not aware, or they're ignorant, or they don't care. But there's lots of things that go on that affect everyone. And I think that most people, are not aware of the noise ordinance, because unless you have insomnia, why would you bother reading the noise ordinance for Pleasantville?
Right.
So I don't know if that's something that can be posted in the newsletter that comes out.
Okay, so
To remind people to
it's
be cognizant and, considerate of their neighbors.
How about this? You make a good point, and one actually I had occasion to think about that myself, not this weekend, but the past, encountering some activity going on a good bit later than normally you'd expect it to, and I think it was a violation of the noise ordinance. So how about this? We'll pull out the noise ordinance, and at a future meeting, maybe even the next one, do a recap of it. Obviously, that captures only a limited number of people that watch the meetings, but we will also get that up on the website on the front page as a link, and mention it in a couple of other settings. One of the things that's on our work session agenda tonight is we're talking about a revived village newsletter, and perhaps a combination newsletter that would do several different things at once, and that, as you rightly point out, would be also a good opportunity to reiterate what's in the
I
noise
think
ordinance.
another issue, if you're going to revisit or review the noise ordinance, is the issue of having private sanitation collectors making their stops at 6:50 a.m. or 6:45 a.m., which has been my experience at the Girl Scout building. When this has happened, I have, left a message for the CEO, and I guess just out of common courtesy or politeness, somehow he manages to, rectify the situation for a short while. But if there's nothing on the books, there's nothing to stop CRP from going to the Girl Scout building at 6:45 with their beeping reverse gear to pick up the dumpster at the Girl Scout building. CRP is the carrier there, and this happens frequently. And I think it's something really important to look at, because you do have carriers, carters rather, coming into the village very, very early and making these pickups that, they're disturbing. So that's another, quality of life issue, I think, that has to be addressed, and we can't expect Mr. Bucafusco to, write something that's not an ordinance that can't be enforced.
Yeah. So we'll take a look at that too. I mean, obviously the Girl Scout building is surrounded by residential properties, and we have a few other institutional properties like that. It's a bit of a struggle to coordinate those schedules, especially in situations where commercial carters are looking to get in and out of parking lot areas early before they fill up. So let's engage that discussion. I've got it on my list.
Okay, and now speaking of ordinances and things that need to be enforced, the illegal truck traffic on Bedford Road, I'm unhappy to report, is back up to the levels of my previous reports to the board. I don't know what is going on. I don't know why it's this arc of enforcement and then no enforcement, and pretty much things now are back to the Coca-Cola 18-wheelers, a variety of trucks that do not belong on the road. They're affecting, first of all, safety, pedestrian, motor vehicle, the character. You have older houses, and basically these trucks do not belong, and I don't know why they cannot consistently be prohibited from driving on Bedford Road.
Okay, so we'll ask the police again what they think is the best way to do it. Obviously, our enforcement is going to be episodic. We don't have somebody to do it all the time, but the hope and intent, and obviously the goal, is to do it in ways that maximize its long-term effectiveness, so that truckers get the idea that it ain't the place they belong. So,
well, yeah, it
right.
seems that the enforcement or the consistent prohibiting of the traffic is intermittent and inconsistent.
Well, I do think that given the staffing we have, it is going to be intermittent. But as I say, obviously the goal, and I know it's the chief's goal, is to do it in a manner that leverages the activity in the most effective way. Our goal, obviously, is to create an environment where truckers, especially truckers who are in the area on a regular basis, get the idea that it's a bad place to try to risk violating the law. So we'll have that conversation.
Yeah, I will. They are out there, and it seems like I run on occasion around.
Got someone chasing you?
Last time it was you, Michelle.
You may have thought he was a truck going by.
And I'm sad to report I did not outrun you. I think, I don't know if this is the case, but the trucks during a pickup and delivery at Bedford Road School, Manville backs way up, and I think the trucks opt for Bedford Road around that time because it's quicker than trying to sit in that line that's on Manville. So while I've noticed more truck traffic true as well, I'd like to see them tagged because they come zooming down Bedford Road when the kids are walking. Now they may be making local deliveries, in which case they have every right to be there. But to the degree that they're not, and in fact, Michelle, when we were speaking, one or two blew by us while we're staying on the sidewalk. So it is indeed the case. Whether they're allowed to be there or not because of making deliveries, I'm sure our officers will figure that out.
Right, and I think obviously pickup and dismissal, or, drop off, whatever, those are sensitive issues, but it's an around-the-clock issue. It's not just restricted to those sensitive times of the day, which, I totally understand that it does create, more of a hazard. And the other thing is, it's really hard to, say that an 18-wheeler Coca-Cola truck has a local delivery, on Bedford Road. Mm-hmm. And also the huge sanitation trucks that are going, flying up Bedford Road. So if anything, I would think the revenue generated from these trucks who do not belong on our roads, that's something that the village would be very interested in getting. You're breaking the law, and we get money, so it seems like a no-brainer. And I don't know, is there a specific traffic court in our village, or do you just have,
It's the regular Pleasantville Justice Court.
so the traffic things are, the cases are all heard during the same...
Tuesday night.
Right. Well, I mean, maybe it's something, I mean, I don't know if there's a way to, make this problem aware, on the next level, that the residents are being, affected by this. And I've asked my fellow neighbors to say something, and, I mean, this would come as no surprise, but they say, oh, yes, I noticed the trucks, yes, they're dangerous, yes, they're loud, but I want to reserve my clout to complain about other issues, which to me is ridiculous, because if you have an issue, you need to complain. And I don't think anybody sitting there on the board would, disagree with that idea. It's an important thing that affects everybody. So it's not, it's not just me noticing this, and Jonathan has said he's noticed the increase, but there are other residents that are aware of this problem, but do not have, the motivation, the impotence to call 769-1677, which I encourage all of my fellow neighbors to call.
Keep encouraging them, that's what we're here for.
Right, and I hope to see some improvement about that. And I have two more questions that I want to ask you.
Okay.
The other thing that I was curious about is if we still own a portion of that skateboard park in the Chappaqua commuter parking lot.
We do, own, meaning we share the costs.
Okay, so
Yes.
what I was curious about, since when I was taking my son there to practice driving, that entire area seems in disrepair and just not being used. And I know that Chappaqua is remodeling their parking lot. And I was wondering if the village has looked at the usage of that park, what the volume or, the frequency that village kids actually make use of that park, what our dollar amount commitment is, and, is it possible to, offer that property as some type of buyout to Chappaqua so that they can, make parking spaces, which I think would be higher and better use.
So here's the way, yes, the Pleasantville usage is extremely low.
Like nothing.
And we're looking at, just as you suggest, getting out from that arrangement, simply because it's not serving our community particularly, and the kids who want to skateboard don't want to go there. On Chappaqua side, it gets moved during the week to create space for parking, and then on certain days of the week and on weekends they move it out into the parking area. In the summer it can stay out because they have less demand. So
Seriously?
yes, there's a forklift that moves the ramps.
Okay. What is the
Little known facts.
What did you say?
Little known facts in your
No,
community.
really. Oh my goodness. So what does that park cost us?
What was it last year? Do you remember
we got it
$7,000 or
down-
$8,000?
No, we got it down.
It's under $5,000.
We got it down to $4,000, and this is, we've already told them, we're not interested in going forward with any type of agreement.
You said 4,000?
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
4. I think that's.
I mean, recognize, I don't know if you recall the history of it.
4,300, I think it was.
I think the history was Dan Sweeney wanted a place for his kids to skateboard.
Well, it was
All right,
Dan
so-
Sweeney's kid that came, one of the kids, yeah.
All right, so do you have his phone number? There had been a plan at one point to build a skateboard park down in the area somewhere near the village DPW garage, and Newcastle was potentially interested in buying into that for a whole series of reasons. That did not develop. This again gosh, must be 10 years ago, something like that. So what we ended up with, I'm afraid, was a skateboard park that ultimately did not satisfy the kids who were primarily looking for it. Certainly has had some kind of use, but not so much for Pleasantville. So
Failed attempted street service.
there's our story.
So when you say it costs $4,000 a year, is that debt service? Is that something that we pay to
No, what happens is there's an agreement that we signed way back when that says we will share in the costs of running the thing according to a specific formula, and share in the receipts from it in a similar way. And bottom line is, it's a relatively low-cost venture, but it's certainly real money, and we're not feeling like we're getting a lot of bang for the buck based on the lack of Pleasantville usage.
And we have tried to get out of it for the
A
last
long time.
4 or 5 years.
I mean, I don't mean to imply that Newcastle's been unfair. I mean, we went into this 10 years ago with them.
You
so,
had an agreement,
yeah,
right? We had
so-
an
The agreement say after said period of years, we can revisit our interest or involvement in,
I'm pretty confident that we're going to extricate ourselves from it.
because, I mean, even, I don't know, I mean, the $4,000 a year savings would, you know, you could just throw that in the kitty to renovate for the new rec center.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, obviously it's entirely up to Newcastle, I'm not sure that there's an enormous amount of use among Newcastle residents
No,
either.
they have a lot more use than we do. We had a number of issues over the years that because we were municipality sponsoring it, we required the skateboarders to wear equipment that they didn't want to wear. And once they, because of insurance reasons, and once they figured out that they have to wear this equipment, then our involvement, our resident involvement became nil. And we were involved in this agreement. So it's been something, believe me, Michelle, it's something, I think Trustee Skarsak could tell you about 10 years of frustration with that we've been trying to work with. So
Well, I
we
mean,
are
it's
very aware.
It's a cautionary tale for the future that if we think something, I mean, there was something there that could have been a good idea, but that wasn't a good idea. And that wasn't a good idea on day one, and we hope for the best, but as we see, it just never worked for whatever reason.
Right, well, I would look at what is the square footage of that area that we're responsible for, and then see how many new commuter spaces they could place there.
Well, they're using it for parking.
They use it for
They
parking,
use it for
Michelle.
parking.
It's only open certain hours.
They move the ramps off the blacktop, and it's used for parking, so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, speaking of parking, I'm very curious to know about all of the parking tickets or parking fines that are outstanding to the Village of Pleasantville, and if there's a dollar amount, and if there's any plan to, collect or, not scofflaw, but, sell the delinquent tickets off to a collection agency, and we'd be happy to get 20 cents on the dollar or something like that.
Well, we had an extended discussion about that a few months ago, and in fact, the parking ticket system is managed by an outsourced provider that provides us with the parking ticket printers, and their printers automatically download the data into the outsourced provider's database. They maintain the system of sending out the notices, and they send the scofflaw notices to New York State. So what happens, am I right that it's 3 parking tickets, Patty?
It's 3.
If you get to 3
Three
parking...
within a certain period of time.
3 parking tickets within a certain period of time on a given license plate that are unpaid, our outsourced provider eventually sends, and they're quite efficient at it, sends that data to Albany, and that license plate cannot be renewed when the next registration renewal comes until you clear it. So we have, first off, according again to our outsourced provider who provides the same service for many, many municipalities, an extremely high rate of compliance, by their description, essentially, our current rate of payment on parking tickets is about as high as it's reasonable to get. There are some tickets that are difficult to collect. Obviously, it's more difficult to collect an out-of-state ticket. And in various other circumstances, whatever, somebody is getting rid of a car and never wants to register it again, people have their issues. So bottom line is we looked at it with some care and are pretty confident that the system that we have in place is diligent, that we're doing the right thing. We will selectively boot cars that are recidivist violators, so that if you are parking in downtown Pleasantville and are racking up an extraordinary number of parking tickets that you don't pay, we do periodically engage a towing company to either tow or boot your car. So again, it's a very small number of people that fall into that category. We carried open parking tickets for a very, very long time on the so-called open rolls, which obviously produces what looks like a high number because the tickets double and double again. But
So at any given time, like what do we have outstanding?
we'd have to.
I think we kept 5 years open now. I think, it was
I think we
up
have
to
5 years open parking tickets, something like that. I mean, get you the number. It's just a matter of asking for a download of the data. Although it looks like a large number, the reality is a pretty high percentage of it is uncollectible for a variety of reasons. Somebody has died, an out-of-state entity that has no means of tracking it down, etc.
Rental cars.
We have a very, very high rate of compliance, and as I say, Complus, which is our outsourced provider, which is a big player in this industry, essentially said, "You're about as good as anybody can get." So
Now, do we pay them to do this, or
they get a percentage of the total take. So
of the parking fees and fines?
No, not fees. Fees we manage entirely ourselves for permits and the like, and meters. This is only parking fines. So Complus is paid a percentage of the tickets, and then, as I say, they provide the infrastructure for us. We've looked a couple of times at whether we should bring it in-house. The reality is it's a very pretty well-oiled system, a very sophisticated system, and doesn't make sense for us to take that in-house.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much. I think that's it for now.
All right, I've got your list written down.
The time,
Thanks.
and I look forward to the truck issue being resolved.
Okay, we'll try.
Me too.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. Good night.
Oops.
Okay, back to...
That'd be good. It's me.
It's
Yeah.
you. You've
But
knocked
I
your
totally
microphone
screwed
down,
up the
please.
microphone now.
All right.
Okay.
Resolution 114.
Which I'm very proud to read. As resolved that the Board of Trustee hereby appoints Richard Love to the permanent position of Police Chief effective June 11th, 2012 at a salary of $139,815.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Number 115, Jonathan.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following pre-check registers dated June 11th, 2012. There's actually 2 weeks worth because of...
2 fiscal years.
Excuse me, 2 fiscal years worth because we crossed that barrier, that our fiscal year.
Correct.
May 31st.
International fiscal year
The
deadline.
international fiscal year dateline, correct, for villages. So in 2011, the last couple weeks of 2011, $97,286,000 of checks were written. $44,300 from the general fund, $44,338.32. $3,525 from the special purpose fund. Water fund was $11,275. Capital fund $25,155. Refuge $1,705. Pool was $8,813. Trust and agency was $2,473. And then for 2012-13, the general fund was $271,429. Special purpose $46,22. Water fund $15,975. Refuge fund $9,993, and the pool fund was $16,654 for a total amount of $318,674.59.
Is there a second?
Second.
We need to stop briefly because we need to change the
Vote,
tape.
Vote on that one.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Change the tape. We'll be back in just 1 minute.
Thank you, Shane.
Sorry for that brief delay. We need to switch the tape filming our meeting. So back to where we started, we just approved Resolution 115, which is the pre-check register, which is more complicated than usual because it spans 2 fiscal years. The village fiscal year ends at the end of May, and the new one begins beginning of June, and so there's your extra complexity. Number 116, Brian.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the minutes of the meeting held on May 21st, 2012.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or corrections?
Very good.
Just let me say one more time, these minutes make reference to a successful Pleasantville Day. Thanks again to Chairperson Ginny Brentano, who organized Pleasantville Day on our behalf. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. 117, Colleen.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the request from the Pleasantville Lions Club to use Roselle Park on Saturday, October 13th, 2012, with a rain date of Saturday, October 20th. It should say 2012. From 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for their annual horseshoe tournament, and further resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby gives the Lions Club special permission to barbecue on said property. Approval is subject to the approval of insurance documents.
Is there a second?
Second.
A great event, been going on several years. This year, the Lions Club, in addition to the horseshoe tournament, is going to sell hamburgers and hot dogs.
Yeah, that's a fun event.
So Patty, you know, we always said we were going to do
I
a
don't know
team.
why we never make that.
It's either that or bocce, so you got to
All right, mark your calendars. Saturday, October 13, with a rain date of Saturday, October 20,
Okay. I'm
starting
practicing.
at 10 a.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Mindy, 118.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the request from Clark Street residents to hold a block party on Saturday, June 16th from 4 to 10 p.m.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I've never
Have a
known
good
that
time,
block
Clark
party to
Street.
end at 10 o'clock, to be honest with you.
Jonathan, number 119.
I must have done something really nasty to poor Judy. What I got this year, the secret thing.
And he pronounces the secret thing so well, Jonathan.
I always dislike secret. Whereas the village is considering an offering by Mint Design and Development LLC to purchase a portion of Paulding Street for the sum of $35,000, and whereas the village owned property constitutes an unlisted act as per the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the village board has reviewed a short environmental assessment form prepared by the village administrator dated June 8, 2012, now therefore be it resolved that the village board hereby determines that the sale of a portion of Paulding Street to Mint Design and Development shall not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and furthermore, that pursuant to the requirements of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, it exhausts me just to say it, the Village of Pleasantville hereby issues a negative declaration pursuant to requirements of the New York State blah, 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 Environmental Quality Review Act in conjunction with the proposed sale of a portion
And
of
it's
Paulding
the
Street
short form.
to Mint Design and Development. Oh my goodness.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mint Design and Development is the parent company of Tangram, which some of you may be aware owns a building back behind the area that is currently being renovated for the new Mangieri restaurant. They are at the end of Paulding Street, and they own the property on both sides of that dead end. Approached us about the idea of purchasing the piece of the road that is between their two parcels, and which is a dead end into the railroad track retaining wall. And since that piece of property does nothing whatsoever except serve them, we were happy to negotiate the arrangement that you will hear about in the next resolution, 120, which is for the sale of the property pursuant to a couple of easements that we need to hold. So all in favor of 119, the secret approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. 120, Brian.
Now therefore be it resolved that a portion of Paulding Street consisting of approximately 4,500 square feet as shown on the attached drawing be sold to Mint Design and Development LLC for the sum of $35,000, and further resolved that in selling such parcel to Mint hereby agrees to grant to the Village of Pleasantville easements in perpetuity allowing access to underground water lines and sewer lines existing under such portion of Paulding Street, as well as an easement to the above-ground hydrant presently existing on Paulding Street. For the result, the village attorney is authorized to prepare appropriate legal documents on behalf of the village. For the result, that the mayor, on behalf of the Village of Pleasantville, is authorized to sign the deed conveying said portion of Paulding Street to Mint and such other documents as may be appropriate.
Is there a second?
Second.
Again, as mentioned, this is, I think, an opportunity both to put a small piece of property back into the productive tax rolls and to assist Mint Design and its company Tangram to remain a great piece of a Pleasantville commercial base. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Number 121. Colleen?
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the proposal from Frederick P. Clark Associates dated May 30, 2012 for planning advisory services for the fiscal year 2012 through 2013.
Is there a second? Second. Frederick P. Clark Associates is the planning firm that provides advisory services to our planning commission in order to fulfill the audit requirements associated with paying firms on a time and materials basis. We have to have a standing accepted proposal from them. It does not commit us to use them in any specific way or in any specific amount, but it simply indicates that for the coming fiscal year, June 1, 2012 through May 31, 2013, the rate for the planner, who is the primary planner assigned to Pleasantville, will be $190 per hour. That is up from $185 per hour over the last 2 fiscal years. All in favor?
I have a question. I thought we were going to try to source this out a little bit. I'd like to see this.
Like I say, this doesn't commit us to use F.P. Clark in any way at all.
But they are the person that's at our planning commission meetings every time.
And have been for many, many
I know,
years. And I don't mean to suggest that we won't revisit that.
But this is kind of, we're retroactively approving something as of June 1st, whereas, if we were to source this out and maybe come up, we had a planner sit in front of us 2 years ago, and I think we should consider those things. I'm not comfortable with this. I think that there's been some issues, and I would rather see a little competition in this area.
No one's suggesting that we can't or shouldn't do that, but we still have an obligation, if at the present time, to have an existing agreement. If we ended up with an additional or a different planner, we'd have to have a similar agreement with them.
Right.
There's no commitment to any number of hours associated with this, just a commitment to the
But we are
rate.
committing to them.
No,
As of June.
no,
For
we're
the
committing
fiscal
to
year,
a rate.
June 1
This-
to May 31st.
What this says
As
is during this time period,
needed.
if we use them, this is how they will
Who
bill
else are we
us.
going to use?
We could use anybody else.
But who is going to be at the next planning commission meeting and any other planning commission meeting from now until May is them? Because we haven't done anything to change that situation.
Well, that's, Mindy, but that's separate from what we're doing tonight. And
Absolutely.
I'm not unsympathetic towards what you're saying, but what we're doing tonight in no way binds us to.
Well, then this resolution should be changed. Because it's saying that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the proposal that they have made to us for planning advisory services. So we've accepted their proposal through this resolution.
The resolution says that if we use Frederick P. Clark per this letter they have given us, we will pay them $190 per hour for Michael Landler's time.
But we have no
We
letter
will-
from anybody else to say we would pay them as well. So my
And we
assumption.
could have such a letter in 2 weeks if we were to do that. I'm not disagreeing with the idea of looking at alternatives and trying to be competitive about this. We obviously need to sit with the Planning Commission to understand what their issues are. But as of the moment, as of today, Frederick P. Clark is providing this service to the Planning Commission, and we need to pay them, and we need to have an agreement in place to do so.
At $5 more an hour.
Correct. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
I vote nay.
Okay. 122.
Is it me?
It's Mindy.
Oh, sorry.
It was short. Couldn't be
Resolved
me.
that the Board of Trustee hereby accepts a donation from Phelps Memorial Hospital in the amount of $5,000 towards the farmers market.
Is there a second?
Second.
Phelps is the sponsor of the music at the farm market this year. Delighted to have them. And it's a good opportunity to remind you, I forgot to mention in the announcements, that the farm market is up and running. It's been running for, I guess, 3 weekends.
Since
now.
Memorial Day
And,
weekend.
even though it's early in the season, there's lots of great stuff to buy. And I encourage you to get down there. It opens up around 8 in the morning and runs till 1 in the afternoon.
It's running smoothly, I can report.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Number 123.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to sign the New York State Retirement Disability application for Aaron Hess.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. 124.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget amendments, taking $815 from Finance Conference, transferring it to Finance Full-Time, $302 from Administration Conference, transferring it to Administration Part-Time, and $347 from Village Hall Telephone, transferring it to Administration Equipment for a total of $1,464.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, is this cleanup from the old fiscal year?
You know, I don't have the backup. Did you have it? Do you want to take a quick look? I was surprised to see it. If it's the new year, it doesn't really make much sense. I think we could have moved money within the accounts, but
I mean, we wouldn't be moving money in the new fiscal year this early in the game, would we?
Yeah, it shouldn't be. I don't think we had any problems in those lines. No? Yeah, there it is. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, old year,
Okay, so it's budget amendments for the fiscal year
2011-12.
2011-12.
Thank you, Judy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. 125. Who was that?
That's Colleen.
Colleen.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby institutes no parking in the Memorial Plaza parking lot, both sides from the gazebo to the end of the parking lot, northerly direction, on every Saturday from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the months of June, July, August, September, October, November, and the first Saturday in December. And further resolved that the Police Department is hereby authorized to tow all vehicles in violation of this temporary parking restriction. And further resolved that this resolution will remain in effect until rescinded by a resolution of the Board of Trustees.
Is there a second?
Second.
Actually, is the no parking is not really from the gazebo, it's from the curb cut in the center island, right?
But there's nothing past that anyway on a Saturday, so there really,
Isn't there?
Nothing past what?
between the gazebo and the curb cut?
Yeah, there is.
There are
Parking there.
spaces there.
Okay, well,
Just for purposes that I think of doing the resolution. it's
Okay,
easier
that's
just
fine.
to
So
Yeah.
this is a durable resolution that won't have to be done every year.
Right.
So again, this is
Yeah.
no change in the rules. It's been that way for ever since we moved the farm
yeah,
market to that
from
location.
gazebo.
So-
You should say, write as posted, because it's posted, you know. We can note that it's as posted.
Okay, that's fine.
Can we post, though, a sign that highlights the new parking lot behind the
Yes,
post office?
it's a good idea. We
You
need-
know,
well-
because
Yeah, we
I
need
think
to do
people who
something
aren't
about that.
familiar with Pleasantville don't know that lot's there.
Well, they can't come in off the plaza to get in,
Right.
so we'll have signs on
But
Cooley and
something.
Manville.
Well, the farmers market did a great job educating people about
We
it
need
through
something
their
on Cooley.
literature last season, and they're doing it again this season too. They're directing them to park over there.
But a
So,
sign would be great,
Yeah, particularly on Cooley and Manville.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
something to get people in.
like municipal parking,
Mhm.
yeah.
We definitely need to do something about that.
I'm surprised Tony hasn't been on you for that, Patty.
Not yet, but it's coming. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
Okay,
yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, Committee 126.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the assessor to correct the 2012-2013 assessment roll for the following parcels in accordance with small claim settlements. 20 Guyon Street, for the original assessment $79,000, new assessment $73,350. 6 Robbins Road, original assessment $50,600, new assessment $43,650. 40 Leland Avenue, original assessment is $44,000, new assessment is $37,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
So these are reductions in the assessment, and recall that the village assessments have a multiplier to get to market value, so that these are not actually market value numbers. This is the result of small claims negotiations between the assessor and applicants. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. 127.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to sign the undertaking agreement
You don't have to read it.
and the New York State Department of Transportation in connection with roadway restoration along Parkway Terrace.
You did draw the short straw tonight. I don't know what happened.
Is there a second?
Oh, that's not so
Second.
bad.
Patty, you want to describe what an undertaking agreement
Yeah,
is?
that's what I was
Bill
thinking.
Fluke.
Is this a Bill
Yeah,
Fluke?
this is not a, yeah. Look, anytime we do work within New York State's right-of-way or on state property, we're required to post a bond in order for the state to be guaranteed that we will restore the road and in good faith, commit to doing that. So the undertaking is signed, but the state, knowing that I don't have, other than administrative power, they'd like to see that the board understands that I signed something. So they're making you do a resolution acknowledging the fact that I signed off on our obligation to restore the road. This is for Parkway Terrace. We're working in the right-of-way there, to close the slip ramp and to do some shoulder improvements with a sidewalk. Okay?
We should add a codicil that they have to fulfill similar requirements
Well,
on the road.
that's always,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved.
it's a one-way street.
That being the last of our resolutions, we're done with that for the evening. Anybody else have any new business they want to bring up?
Well, just to remind you, Mayor, we have the Labor Council coming 9:30 to cover executive session items. That's
All right. We'll be headed back into work session and have a few things going on. We met in work session before the regular meeting with Jeff McConnum, our new DPW superintendent, about various matters. And again, welcome to Jeff, and say hello if you see him around town. We'll be moving back into work session and have a Parks and Rec Advisory Board candidate. We're talking about revisiting and revising the idea of a village newsletter, talking about email protocols, and also talking about a franchise renewal with Cablevision. And then afterwards we'll be meeting, as Patty indicated, with legal counsel on matters of litigation and negotiation. So, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. Congratulations to our new police sergeant, Kevin Gilmartin. We appreciate your attention. Our next regular meeting is 2 weeks from today, Monday, June 25. Thank you and good night.